It's been a week. God damn it. It's been a week since Trump won the election. Well, he hasn't really won yet, but he has. But it's not official until January 6th. And things over this week have been super crazy, super nutso, and people are losing their minds. The Democrat Party is split in two. Hopefully the better versions of the Democrats come out ahead, because those crazy leftists, we don't need no more of those. Burning down cities, they're raping our churches and burning our wives. So Trump and Biden sat down and had them little chit chat. We're gonna watch a whole bunch of Asmongold videos today, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna watch a whole bunch of Asmongold videos today about Trump. Let the hilarity ensue.
From the
Here we go. Oh
Here
boy,
we go.
oh boy.
Oh boy.
the two presidents shaking hands.
Looking forward to having a, like we said, a smooth transition. Do everything we can to make.
He said that weird. He said that weird, did he not? It kind of sounds like he's covering. Like nobody says that. Smooth transition, like we said. That's something that somebody would say if that's not the only thing that they talked about. I wonder what they talked about. I think Biden voted for Trump. I really do. He probably didn't, but I think he did.
Make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So,
Good.
welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not.
Having that fire burning behind them is actually a crazy move. Because it's a symbol of, like, the two presidents in front of the fire. And the fire is the country. Because it's burning right now. Until Trump actually gets into office and does some stuff. And who knows? Democrats might try and burn it down anyway, still.
A very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much it. A transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate
It's
it.
the smoothest transition ever.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Just
Oh, that Adam Ray face that he makes, man. Adam Ray's good at doing the Biden impression, though.
like, what the fuck? Just
That's the fakest smile ever, by the way. He's super, like cheeking it. He looks insane.
This is what reading chat feels like sometimes. Bro, this is like if chat had TTS. Oh god.
I want to give you a sense of what happens in the Oval Office, and the press pool is being shuffled out of the Oval
Get
Office.
outta
Want to
here.
go to
It's just so fucking funny. Wait, this is real? Yes. By the way, Trump announced the Doge department for the government. I don't know what the hell's going on, guys.
It's not a new thing, by the way. I've known about this for a long time, but I keep up with the X Times. Like, I saw the tweet when it happened, when he first tweeted it out. And people are surprised that like the past couple days that this was announced. I'm just like, they said it was coming weeks ago. 100% he voted for Trump. That turn and smile, there's no fucking way. That was insane. Holy shit, man. What is happening? We're in an anime. This is anime. What, we have turned ourselves into a cartoon. Am I real? I think I'm real. I think a cartoon would be able to stretch his face like, oh god. Here we go again.
What's crazy is that this is still going on. It's really funny.
I disagree. I'd like to reframe the conversation. I think Bernie Sanders is wrong.
Oh, boy.
I think the more relevant question actually is what is wrong with America?
Bernie Sanders is wrong. All of the average Americans are wrong. Everybody who doesn't agree with me is wrong.
What is wrong with this country that they would choose a message of divisiveness, of xenophobia, of racism, of misogyny over a message of inclusiveness?
All I can deduce is that it's the messaging.
Those are all of the things that they do.
Didn't get through to people. They're not paying attention. That's all. Democrats have always
I
been.
hate the View. You should love them. If you are a Trump fan, you should be like, I hope this show never goes out of style.
I watched this show. Oh, I need to move out of Asmongold's way. I watch this show all the time. All the time. I'm a huge fan of this show.
I hope it never goes off the air. All you need to do is give these people a microphone, and they're going to send voters over your way at a ratio that's incredible. And it happened. The first time in 20 years they won the popular vote.
It's
On the Democratic
condescending.
side.
There is
What's condescending?
the way that the left speaks to its voters. It really
A
is.
message of joy and
Yeah.
inclusiveness.
No, the message of no.
It's just, they're never going to be able to figure it out.
Point is, I don't blame Joe Biden.
That Family Guy joke where it was just a bunch of chickens plucking at each other. That's what the View is. That's what the entire left is now.
I don't blame Kamala Harris. I blame a messaging within the Democratic Party.
You don't
True.
blame the Republican
Can I just
Party at
finish
all?
my point, please? I obviously have a problem. Anyone has a problem with Donald Trump. The bigger question should be, yes, Sonny, why did they vote for him?
Yes.
In
So they
sweeping
need to be
I'll tell you why. I think that most people don't think Donald Trump is a morally good guy. That's why they voted for him. They voted for him because he's not a nice guy.
introspective.
No, we need to be introspective. If we voted for
They
Kamala
chose
Harris,
another
we
one
need to
that's
say
offering.
what didn't resonate with the voters. Do you know what didn't resonate with the voters? When they were saying we don't feel safe and the left focused on defund the police and bail reform.
Yeah.
When they said
They
we're
also-
worrying
they
about
also
Can I just
focused on
finish?
gun
Let me
control.
just finish real quickly. When they were focused on
It's only
renaming
an hour show, ladies.
Joy. They also denied the border was a crisis and kept saying, no, it's fine. This is not a point.
the
Is they
Biden
screened and screened and
Wow.
screened.
Can they just not interrupt each other for 5 seconds, man? They're just like, hey, stop interrupting her. And then the next one interrupts.
They didn't vote for him because he's a racist or a misogynist. They voted because they needed help in their everyday lives.
Oh, wait, they're going to say I'm a racist and a misogynist in the exit poll? I don't think-
Not everyone that voted for Donald Trump was a racist and misogynist.
I agree with that.
Everyone swept. They swept every category. And the reason they did is to say, hey, guys, no excuses this time.
Yeah. Look.
They lost everything.
There's still half the country that doesn't agree with him.
I think they should shave their heads on this stream. Next time they do another episode, they should do that. To show solidarity and to protest the election results, I think they should all shave their heads. You can't keep saying this stuff. You lost popular vote. I know. What's crazy?
Oh, these people. They're lying to you, and they're lying to their base, and they're lying to themselves. That's what happened. And people can smell bullshit. When you're the one spouting the bullshit, you don't realize that everybody can smell it. And some people will be courteous and tell you, no, I don't smell nothing. And they do. And then after a while, they'll get tired of it, and then they're gonna say something, or they're gonna leave. And that's what happened, man. That's what happened. Bernie Sanders got something to say. What does Bernie Sanders got to say about these Democrats? The ones, that kicked him out of the 2016 race. They basically did what they did to him, what they did to Joe Biden, except Bernie wasn't the president yet. But I think he was gonna be. I think he would have beat Trump. And the idiots kicked him out. And that's how Trump won. And now that's how we're in this mess. I don't think it's a mess. But, well, I do. But I think it's like when you pull everything out of the cabinets before you clean the house kind of mess.
Senator Bernie Sanders issued a scathing statement after the vice president's loss in what he called a disastrous campaign, saying, quote, "It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them."
That's right.
And Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont
Absolutely.
joins me now. Senator Sanders, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here on this Sunday after Election Day. Let's start right there. Your criticism incredibly direct. You say you think the Democratic Party has, quote, abandoned the working class. How exactly do you think Democrats have abandoned
Keep
the
in mind.
I remember Bernie Sanders saying that we're losing the working class. And now look at us. Look where we're at. Well, the Democrats, I mean. I'm probably going to get lumped into the Democrat side now that Republicans have won. The Democrats were lumping me in with the right side, but now I'm too left for the right, so they're going to put me in the left side. Even though I'm neither, I'm like directly center.
This guy is the longest standing senator in the history of the United States of America. And there are pictures and photos of him protesting for civil rights back in the 60s. This guy is an OG.
Working class senator.
Look, the working people of this country are extremely angry.
You can disagree with them or think that he's wrong in what his opinions are, but I think it's respectable to see somebody who stood by their opinions and actually has lost things in the pursuit of keeping those opinions, even if you disagree with them. I think it's very respectable.
A right to be angry. In the richest country in the history of the world, today, the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while 60% of Americans are living.
This is actually a really big component that a lot of people don't realize whenever they look at the way that wealth has been re-added into the economy, is that almost all of the wealth growth that's happened, well, this really has happened ever since 2008, and like he's talked about this a million times, right? That's actually one of the big reasons why I know about it. Almost all of those gains in wealth are happening at like the 1% level. Like the average people, it's
not even 1%, man. It's the 0.1%. They're like Elon Musk. He's killing it right now. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. These people are killing it. Especially since COVID.
It's not like, it's like, it's not like a rising tide floats all boats. No, the average people are in a fucking desert.
Paycheck to paycheck. And millions of families worry that their kids are paycheck really well, while 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
That is crazy.
There's 4 people. What? There's 5 people, including me, living in my house. We're all living paycheck to paycheck. And this is a house fit for a third world country, which, by the way, I have a PayPal down in the description if you'd like to help me out, because I am broke. We just got kicked out of our house and had to move into here because our house got sold out from under us. Down there, description. Be a buddy, be a pal.
And millions of families worry that their kids are actually going to have a lower standard of living than they do.
You think about like the financial anxiety living paycheck to paycheck is. Every time that you turn on your car and it doesn't immediately start up, fuck. Every time like maybe your phone doesn't turn on, you're like, fuck. Every time you've got, like anything happens, like immediately.
Our air conditioner went out right there in the dog days of summer. And we had central heat and air in our house. And we were living paycheck to paycheck. We just had to take the L. We had to shut down that air conditioner and just not use it. We had to get window units. And it wasn't enough. At least it wasn't 110 degrees inside. It was 90.
The financial anxiety that it creates is just absolutely fucking suffocating. You know what it's like? Oh my God. It's like playing, so somebody else is playing Sonic the Hedgehog and you're playing Quap. That's what being really fucking poor and not having, like, going to paycheck, that's what it's fucking like. And, like, to be fair, I was never, like, extremely fucking poor, right? There was a point where we were...
If you're so poor, why don't you just go get a job? Listen, I got handed a bad hand whenever I was born. Stuck in a small town with drug-addicted parents, right? Had to get raised by my grandparents, who were disabled and couldn't really teach me how to do anything. I had to teach myself, other than carpentry. My grandpa taught me some carpentry. Taught me how to be a good person. Taught me how to wipe my ass. We're poor, man. We're poor. And there are no jobs around here unless you want to work minimum wage. But guess what? If you live out in the country, you can't get them a minimum wage job because you're just going to be paying to go to work. And that's it. And so what's the point of that? That doesn't even cover rent. Like, you won't be able to pay rent. That'll just be your gas. Because there's too many people in the town, not enough job. And there's nowhere to go. The closest town where you can actually get a job is like 60 miles away. And good luck if you don't have a car. Which, most people around here can't afford a car. Because it's all minimum wage.
Broke. We didn't have that much money. But, like, a lot of people have it way worse than I ever did. And so, yeah, it's like playing fucking QWOP, and the other people are playing Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what happens if, you know, your dad's the president. Yeah,
The
house?
top
Yeah, sure.
1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%.
Jesus.
We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of our people.
Yep.
25% of our seniors are trying
here's
to.
one of the really big problems with healthcare is, like, you guys know this if you've ever been like pretty much broke, is that healthcare costs and healthcare anxiety exists for the middle class more than either of the extremes. Because if you're absolutely fucking broke, you can just go to the emergency room whenever you want, and they're never going to be able to get the money out of you, right? And there's like a bunch of government assistance programs. Like my mom had them, and so I saw them in practice and in work. And so, like, for example, we had MAP, medical assistance program. Wrong? No, it's not wrong. Like, I literally have personal experience with this, and I know what it is.
True. Been poor all my life. Still poor. And I can confirm.
I even had it myself. And so, yeah, it's just simply not true. So, yeah, basically what ends up happening is that the people that are inside of like that middle area where they don't have enough money to be comfortable enough to be able to afford healthcare, but they don't have too little money to be uncomfortable enough to get the government assistance, those people in like that middle ground, that purgatory, they are the ones that are getting absolutely fucked. I've seen it happen.
Live on $15,000 a year or less. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And the gap between the people on top and everybody else is getting wider and wider.
He's right.
And then, Kristen, on top of all of that,
I think billionaires need to start spending their money instead of holding it and holding it and holding it until they die, and then it just gets liquidated and goes to whatever. I think billionaires need to be doing what Elon Musk does and just buying up companies and building stuff, going to space, doing crazy internet drone stuff. We need to go wild. What are the billionaires doing? Why are they holding the money for nothing? Just to hold it. That's like the definition of greed.
we got a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires to buy elections. So if
Wasn't this the thing that people were telling me this wasn't happening earlier today? Oh, that's not happening. Of course it's happening. What do you mean it's not happening? What do you mean? This is the biggest problem? Yes. It's terrible. And here's also another big issue. It's the non-money transactions. Like, your son is going to get hired at my company. Or we're going to hire you after you end your term at this company for a large amount of money, right? It's all of these.
Or like, hey, you worked at Verizon. We're going to appoint you to the board of internet control. What, I forget what it's called. What government entity controls the internet?
According to Wikipedia, no one person, company, organization, or government runs the internet.
That's not what what government entity started net neutrality? What is net neutrality?
According to Wikipedia, network neutrality, often referred to as net neutrality, is the principle that internet's...
Oh, whatever. Net neutrality.
It's like little soft, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, you know, quid pro quo type stuff. That's the bad stuff right there. And that's where it gets really corrosive. Very rarely is there just like a massive bag of money that is exchanged. Sometimes, of course, there is, but not always.
An average worker out there, you're saying, hey, I'm working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, worried about my kids, and yet the people on top have never had it so good. Where is the
main thing that he said that mattered the most is the going nowhere in a hurry. That's why people are really fucking mad. It's because you used to be able to work for something and be able to like think that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and somebody turned the light out. So people don't want to be in the tunnel anymore.
My best friend, who was also my roommate until recently, he works 60 hours a week and he's broke every week. He works at a factory that if he was working at this same factory 10 years ago, bro, he'd be killing it. Because he's making like, I think, $19 an hour. And that is unimaginable for 18-year-old me 10 years ago. I was making $12 an hour. And I thought I had it good. I did have it good. Now, $19 an hour, That's McDonald's.
Democratic
Pretty
Party,
simple.
are they prepared to stand up to these powerful corporate interests, raise the minimum wage, fight for health care for all people, make sure that all of our kids get the quality education that they need?
Somebody said in the chat, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train.
It's a huge
Expand
problem.
Social Security. Are they prepared to do those things?
By the way, I agree with him about everything here. Completely agree with him.
That's the issue that we have to address.
Well, as you know, your statement was met with some sharp reaction as well. This is what Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi had to say. Take a look. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Nancy, I know Bernie probably can't say this, but that corrupt ass witch sitting here betting on companies the day before, putting massive stock in companies. How much money has she made in the fucking stock market? How's she worth over $100 million? I thought I thought being the being a senator only pays you like $200K a year or $300K a year.
I think that you should not be allowed to make money if you're working in the government. I think that you should have to liquidate all of your assets. All of them. I don't care. People are like, oh, that's not fair. Well, it's not fair that these people can just put themselves into positions. I can't go run in a race. I would get crushed. They would destroy my life because I have no money. I can't run for one of these government positions. I could, technically, but they're not gonna let me.
How does that happen? $200 million. Wow. Wow. What a, yeah. So I bet she's going to get mad at Bernie Sanders. I bet she is. She's going, oh, wow. It's so divisive. You shouldn't be saying that. Yeah, because your money's at risk.
Bernie Sanders has not won. Let me, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him, for what he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families.
Senator, how do you respond?
Bro, if Bernie was like,
what does she know about the working class? I don't get it. Like, as a poor person, I know what money looks like. I know what people with money think. I know how they act. When they don't go to the stores that we go to. They don't go to the places that we're at. They have people buy stuff for them. They don't even got to think about it. Unless they just absolutely want something, but then they still don't got to buy it. Most of the stuff they get is free anyway. It's garbage. It's such garbage. $200 million. We haven't abandoned the working class. What do you know, bitch? What do you know? Do you even know about anybody who actually has a job outside of the government? Or a corporation?
she just worried about losing her fucking money. You know that they're exempt from insider trading? And you want to know, like, one absolute fucking G about this? Tim Walz. Tim Walz does not have any fucking stocks. I massively fucking respect that. I do. Absolutely. That's crazy. Yes. Absolutely. You might disagree with Tim Walz about...
I kind of like Tim Walz. I just think he's an idiot. I think he's a moron. I think he is high school coach level smart. He could probably teach math to 7th graders. And he's weird. Like a small town coach.
a million other things. And let's say you're right about all of those things. But with this other one thing, that's respectable.
On to Nancy Pelosi.
Well, Nancy's a friend of mine, and we've worked together on many issues. But here is the reality. I have to say to Nancy, in the Senate in the last 2 years, we have not even brought forth legislation to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, despite the fact that some 20 million people in this country are working for less than $15 an hour.
Make everything cheaper. We don't need to raise the minimum wage. We just need to bring the prices down. Raising minimum wage doesn't do anything. It just makes the prices go up more because we haven't actually lowered the value. Because you raise the pay, then that means these companies have to fork over more money to pay people and pay transportation. Legit, transportation cost is everything. If you lower the transportation cost, you lower the price of everything. You don't have to raise the wages of anybody. They can sit the same, and they'll notice prices start going down and down and down.
In America
That's
today,
huge.
we have not brought, in the Senate, we have not brought to the floor the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're not talking about defined benefit pension plans so that our elderly
In
can...
my opinion, I think unions are a stopgap. I think
Yep.
unions are pseudo-government, and
Yep.
in a perfect world, you wouldn't need unions because the government would advocate for you in place of the unions.
We don't need the government anyway. What happened to, like, a guy standing at a corner with a sign saying, hey, you need a job for a couple weeks? I got you a job for a couple weeks. Used to be all the time. Just people would just do jobs. We didn't have to go to a 9 to 5 every day. Used to be like that in my town when I was a kid. I knew lots of people that didn't have jobs. They just worked. And it was great.
It's my opinion. I understand unions are a necessary evil in a lot of cases, and I don't even want to say that they're evil, but that's my personal opinion.
retire with security.
And some
We're not
unions
talking
can be
about
bad, some can be
lifting
good.
the cap on Social Security.
I'm more pro than against
so
them.
that we
I am more against them than pro. Because I think all unions are bad. But unions can be good if the company is worse than the union.
can extend the solvency of Social Security and raise benefits. Bottom line, if you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think
That's a good question. That's a very, very good question. Yeah, are they? Do you actually think they're doing this? Absolutely not. Everybody knows they're not.
overwhelming answer is no, and that is
course
what's
not.
got to change.
Senator, let me zoom out and just ask you about these results. You've heard some of the reaction throughout the Democratic Party. How much do you personally blame President Biden for this loss?
President Biden, when he came into office, said that he would be the most progressive president since FDR. And I think on domestic issues, not foreign policy,
FDR was a garbage president. Hot take.
on domestic issues, he has kept his word and the agenda.
I mean, a student loan forgiveness, Biden did do a lot of good things. Sure, I think that's fair.
No. I think that's bad. That's incredibly bad.
That he has pushed through has been an extraordinarily strong one. But that agenda has got to be placed within the overall context of American society today. And that American society today is one in which tens of millions of working families and elderly people are struggling, while the people on top have never had it so good.
But Senator, should he have got?
That's the thing, is people are making more and more money ever. Biden was the worst president of all time, in my opinion. No, I understand that, like, the CHIP Act and Infrastructure Act were good legislations. Yeah, I mean, like...
You know why people say that about Biden? Because he definitely wasn't. But you know why people say that about Biden? Because nobody actually remembers anything that happened before the internet came online. Bill Clinton was like the last thing. No. Who was president before Bill Clinton? Does anybody know? I mean, I know, but I had to look it up.
He did pass some good things, and they happened. You don't win any points by refusing to acknowledge reality. Yeah, like, that's true. There were some good decisions that were made. Like, it's not crazy to say that.
Gotten out of the race.
I think the problem is, yeah, sure, some of the things sounded good. It was all the other shit that came with it that wasn't good. And all the lies and manipulation.
More quickly, as some are arguing.
I'm not going to. I supported him because I think his agenda was a strong agenda, a working class agenda. I'm not going to.
Well, Bernie supported them because he knew it probably wasn't even going to be Biden to begin with, right? Because that's what a lot of people are saying. They're like, oh, it wasn't even him doing this stuff. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. He had some great policies. He was just not good at talking to people and presenting the message. I think that media played a really negative role in his campaign too, in like a weird way.
I think the media is the one who was controlling Biden the entire time. Well, really, it was the people around Biden, but they were the ones listening to the media media was controlling them, but they were letting themselves be controlled on purpose. That's what happened with Biden. I think Biden probably would have even been a decent Democrat president. I wouldn't have liked him. Republicans wouldn't have liked him. But for Democrats, regular Democrats, not the insane leftists, that he would have been a decent president. If not for the media and for the crazy people that were around him.
Because it felt like the media definitely puffed him up in a lot of ways, but it also misrepresented other things too. And I think that at the end of the day, the media just kind of did whatever the media thought would get the media the most attention.
Yep.
That's basically what happened.
Attention, power, and money. Clicks.
Backwards. Kamala ran a strong campaign. She did everything that she could. She decisively won the debate. So to me, it's not just about the campaign. It's about what does the Democratic Party stand for.
Exactly.
I can tell you what it stands for. Abortion and Palestine.
Do ordinary people say, yeah, that is a party that is fighting for my interest and prepared to
And cutting off your wee-wee.
take on the big money interests who control the economic and political life of the country.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good when you have these these celebrities that are up supporting Kamala Harris or making videos in their mansions that there's photos coming out of them with Diddy and stuff like this, like Usher, stuff like this. It's so off-putting, right? Because it's all of these people in their ivory towers that are coming down to tell you oh, we need to vote to be all of us be together. It's just so fucking bullshit. The Avengers, yeah, exactly. She got the Diddy list supporting her. True, but unironically.
These powerful people in the government and in corporations who are at the very top, the 0.1% of the population at the top, they are season 1 of The Boys. Straight up. They like to portray Homelander as this Trump figure, but I don't think it's fitting. Because they're liars. They don't actually know what Trump's like. I think Homelander's more of Gavin Newsom type.
Yeah.
to me what the issue is.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the economics. You've talked about how the Democratic Party is out of touch when it comes to economic issues. Some Democrats are saying it's not just economic issues, it's cultural issues as well. Here's what Democratic strategist James Carville had to say. Take a look.
We are in a culture war.
What killed the Democrats and what killed Biden was a sense of disorder. And part of the sense of disorder was the unfortunate events of what I would refer to as the woke era.
Has the
Yeah.
Kamala said, we gotta get more woke. Boy, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Democratic Party's focus on identity politics gone too far, Senator?
I think it has. I think everybody knows that.
Let me answer it this way.
He doesn't want to get into it. He doesn't give a fuck about it. I don't think Bernie Sanders has ever given a fuck about identity politics at all. He's always cared about economic policy. That's been his focus the entire time. He's just not the guy to talk about this.
I think if the Democratic Party must continue to stand up against all forms of bigotry. And Democrats should hold their head high in saying, we led the fight for women's rights and to protect the woman's constitutional right for abortion. We led the fight for civil rights, for gay rights. That is something we should be proud of. But it's not either or, Chris, and this is the problem. You can do both. You could say that I'm for raising the minimum wage to a living wage, guarantee health care for all people, expanding Social Security. And by the way, I also support a woman's right to control her own body, etc.
Yeah.
It's not either or. It's going forward in both directions.
You know, I've been speaking to some Democrats who are concerned.
Yeah, he just doesn't, honestly, I think Bernie literally just doesn't give a fuck about this.
That was a weird non-answer. Yeah.
I'm sure he has opinions on it and he cares a little bit, but I think he realizes that if you really look at where are the problems in the country, transsexuals are not at the top of that list.
Yeah. But that's why the media puts it at that list, because it's It gets people riled up and distracted, and that's where they need people. So they can push through bills that have good names, but have nothing to do with what the name of the bill is. You read the headlines, and it portrays people in a bad light, and it makes people think that people say things that they don't actually say or mean, because it's a headline. And then you go on and read the article, and the article's normal and fine. A lot of times it's not, but a lot of times it is a crazy leftist, but a lot of times it's just the headline that's crazy, and then it's a normal story. But people don't read the stories, but that's how they get away with that kind of thing. Is they'll just be like, well, you should have read the story. That's not what the article was about. Reread the title because you read it wrong. No, that's bullshit. Stop with the bullshit titles. I like my YouTube slop titles now. Like, Bernie Sanders says Americans have a right to be angry. Oh, well, no, that's not. Like, Asmongold titled this video, "Fuck around, find out Bernie Sanders to the Democrats." That's the kind of titles I'm clicking on now. The ones that are obviously fake. Because I don't trust the real articles anymore.
Even though, like, for a lot of average people it is, because they see it and it's something that they can understand, you know, from his perspective, that's not it. And I mean, I mean, who can't respect that, right? Sure.
Because now President-elect Trump has beaten 2 women candidates, and their concern is that it will make it more difficult to nominate a woman candidate in the future. Do you share that concern, Senator?
No, it's stupid.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's not a question. Look, I'm not going to deny that there is sexism in this country,
Sure.
that there's racism, there's homophobia. It's there. But on the other hand, I think what the American people want to support, whether it's a woman, a man, a black or a white, or Latino, whatever, is they want to support somebody who is standing up, Kristen, and fighting for them. People are in pain. People are hurting. They can't afford to go to a doctor. They can't afford to send their kids to childcare.
Can you imagine how crazy he must feel? Where, like, you're living in the highest point in, like, U.S. history of wealth inequality, and people can't stop about who gets to use what bathroom? Like, can you imagine how absolutely fucking insane you must feel?
And the media keeps wanting to pull back to it, and that's what they want to talk about. Bernie keeps talking about the economy and, like, all the problems we're having, and then this reporter, this interviewer, is just like, what do you think about gays? What do you think about abortion? The things that everybody already has heard for decades at this point. Like, get some new material. Nobody cares. That's why nobody voted.
It's so cooked. Yeah, it is. Like, it is.
Or to college. They're worried about future generations and what kind of standard of living they will have. Here is the bottom line, and it has to be dealt with. You got an economy today doing phenomenally well for the
And
people.
I also want to say too, like, you don't see Bernie Sanders going out and making like a million statements on this identity politics stuff and trying to, like, make people think he's a good guy. Because if you want to find out, like, where Bernie Sanders stands on this, you can look at black and white photos of him being arrested protesting civil rights. Like, he doesn't need to virtue.
Protesting for civil rights, he misspoke. He was not protesting civil rights.
Signal. Yeah, that doesn't even need to do that. I think that's, again, like, that's kind of like what I was saying before about how, like, a lot of the people that feel like they need to virtue signal and, like, put themselves out there and be like, oh yeah, I'm like this special good person. A lot of them are doing it because they've never actually done that. You know, they've led lives of just absolute, fucking uncontrolled privilege, and they've never stood for anything. They never had any sort of, like, they've never lost anything for what they believed in, right? And so, I think it's all.
A lot of these people, most of the things that they think is, Trump bad, on the internet, on their phone, and then they put down their phone and they're like, well, I'm done for today. These people are evil. They're trying to control my body. I kind of want an acai bowl from the calf. Go get me a pumpkin spice latte with some extra cream and Have some little jimmies on there. Why not? Because they call them jimmies. They're fucking sprinkles. They're fucking sprinkles.
Also very telling that, like, one of the only people that's, like, still around, to be fair, you know, in Congress that was, like, still, like, very much, like, involved in civil rights is not even bringing that up. You think about it, right? It's not even bringing this up. It's not even part of it.
On top, it is not working for the working class. All right? How do we address those issues and in the richest country on the history of the world, create an economy that works for all? That is the issue. And by the way, what Trump did in his election is to say, I know that you're hurting. And the reason is they got millions of people coming across the border illegal. They're eating your dogs. They're eating your cats.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the cats.
He gave an explanation. It happened to be a pretty crazy explanation. Yes, we got to strengthen the borders, but that is not going to raise wages for working people or provide health care to all people.
No.
The Democrats need an explanation, and that explanation is corporate greed and the power of the billionaire class.
The biggest problem, I keep saying the biggest problem, a huge problem is Trump actually has some plans that seem like they're just crazy enough to work. Like the government efficiency thing. I don't know how that's going to work, but it seems like it's going to do something. Even if it's just memes. Like, nobody knew what the Democrats were planning other than, we're just going to keep doing the same things that we've been doing, but more extreme and worse. We're going to spend even more money. Oh, look at that. We just entered another war. And another. You get a war. You get a war.
I know that's uncomfortable for people in the
for NBC News. Yeah, it's very uncomfortable for them.
They're really obsessed with their feelings. Your feelings lie to you. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
Democratic Party, some people. But that is the issue we have to address.
Senator, quickly before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the Supreme Court. Some Democrats behind the scenes quietly talking about the possibility, should Justice Sotomayor step down, to allow President Biden to appoint someone who's younger. She's only 70 years old. Is that something that you would support? Do you think she should step down?
It's her decision.
Only 70 years old. Only 70 years old. My grandma is 70 years old, and she shouldn't be running shit. She shouldn't even be a manager at Sonic.
No, I don't.
Have you heard any talk?
No. That's it. Only 70? Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think there's a high I mean, Bernie's 84 years old, right? This guy's a dinosaur.
This?
A little bit, yes. I don't think it's a sensible approach.
And you don't think it's a sensible approach?
Correct.
All right. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much for your time this morning and your perspective. We really appreciate it.
They're not going to let him run again. I keep hearing people talking about they want to run Bernie again. They're not going to run this guy again. He's too based for them.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Damn, bro, like his hairline is worse than mine. That's crazy. Yeah, asking an 85-year-old on whether a 70-year-old should retire. Yeah, it's like kind of like, well, what are you trying to say, you know? But anyway, yeah, I mean, I pretty much support everything that he was saying, and the funny thing is that I think that if you asked average people, like, there's a lot of like baggage that comes with words like socialism, communism, and like people have these words that are attached to like Bernie Sanders and, you know, all of that. But I think that if you took the name off of these promises, or not promises, off of these policies, and you just gave them to people as like line items, I think that he would have pretty much 100% approval with a lot of these. I do. I think it would be well above 60% people approving of this. And I think that that's the reason why he...
Just saying, I like Bernie more than Trump. Don't like Bernie. Definitely don't like Trump, but I do like Trump. Weird. I got a weird thing with Trump. Wouldn't vote for him, but I'm not mad that he's president. I don't think I would have been mad if Kamala was president, because I don't think anything would have actually gotten done. Just a whole bunch of pretending, and maybe they would have destroyed some things, and then everybody would have freaked out, and in the next election, they would have probably lost even harder. Not much is going to change for me if I stay poor, though, so, like, I don't really care. Because I'm still going to be living paycheck to paycheck, barely paying my bills, no matter what.
Why he did so well. That's why they, in my opinion, I think they had to rig it against them, right? Especially in 2016. And so, yeah, they stole it from Bernie. I know. Can you agree with this? The Democrats are just as much beholden to corporate interests just as the Republicans. They don't want an economic plan that'll benefit average people, but at least Republicans lie to their base to win. I think that both companies, both parties exist to serve the 1%. I really think that's true. I don't think...
No. 0.1%. Because there are some really, really fine people in the 1% that I like, that got there through hard work and dedication. But it's that 0.1%. I don't think there's a single one of them that's not evil, including Elon Musk. But he's the lesser of the 3,000 evils, however many billionaires we have. I don't even know. Probably less than that. Maybe more. I don't know.
That like the Democrat Party exists to serve the working class. I don't think the Republican Party exists to serve the working class. I think that they occasionally throw them a bone, but for the most part, they exist to maintain the status quo and to effectively keep the wheel turning, right?
But I don't think anybody actually knows who's running the country for real. I think it's a bunch of things happening running the country. I don't even think that it's like a person or people or a group. I think that it's events and reactions that control the country. And there's just people that latch on and they're just like, what do we do?
And so that's my opinion. And I'm I'm kind of a bit of a conspiracy Andy.
Everything's burning down. Quick, grab the bags of money and the jewels. Make Laquan over there shovel sand in the fire while we run.
With this kind of stuff, but that's what I believe. It's terrible. Yeah, I think so too. And most politicians are lawyers and they take on people's side for money for a profession. Dumb take, the Republican Party is brand new. Okay. Let's just move on. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know really what to say about that. Let me see. I'll watch like maybe one more. Then I want to move on and do some other shit. And it's really called the Grand Old Party. Well, if I remember correctly, the Republican Party was started by, what do you call it? It was started by Abraham Lincoln, right? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it was started by Lincoln. And so what are we really talking about here? What is this? To free the slaves? Yeah, I'm not sure if it was to free the slaves, but yeah, of course that's what's going to happen.
By the way, slaves were never freed. We didn't free the slaves. That's not a thing that happened. We changed the definition of who gets to be a slave. We didn't actually free any slaves. I mean, I guess they weren't forced to work for a master anymore, but they were still living as they did when they were slaves. Couldn't get a job. Some places they could in the North, but I'm talking about where slavery existed. Slavery didn't really exist in the North. Weren't able to get jobs. Still not able to hang out with white people. Getting spit on and yelled at, cursed out all the time. Getting killed all the time. Just straight up murdered. People making them be slaves still anyway, because who's gonna stop them? By the way, people like to say, oh, the Democrats were the party of slavery. No, not true. There was no party for slavery. Regular people, such as myself in those times, if I were to live back then, people like me would not have had slaves and would not enjoy slavery and would actively be voting against it. It's the people who ran the companies and the corporations and the farms, the big farms, not the like family farms. Some family farms had slaves, but it was the big companies, the rich people that had all the slaves. Poor people, some of them had slaves. Middle class people, some of them had slaves, but they're not the ones that had hundreds of slaves in the fields, living in shacks in the back behind their mansion, back behind their chateau. You enjoy part 1? Part 2 is just going to be a bunch of Trump stuff and the people he appointed. It's going to be great. Bunch of memes. They changed slavery. Prisoners. If you're in prison, you're allowed to have slavery now. You enjoy part 1? Part 2 is just going to be a bunch of Trump stuff and the people he appointed. It's going to be great. Bunch of memes.